Here we are, and welcome to a Blockbuster edition of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. We have with us, I would say, a renowned expert. He's a director. He is a writer. He's a Canadian. He's one of our longest standing guests and friends. We've got with us Mike Roberts, who created one of the Friday Night Movie.
Welcome back.
One of the Friday Night Movie cult favorites, Dallas and Robo, directed Final Space, and now also director on Hot Wheels on Netflix, which is like a huge international success.
Well, technically, I'm the creative director.
Creative director.
Or the creative producer. Creative producer.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, it's huge in Spain. So, this I can tell you.
Is that a weird thing to make something that is in the top 10 on Netflix for however long it was? It was number 1 on Netflix at one point.
Yeah, it was in the all around top 10 for a while, which that was a good feeling. I mean, to be honest, like I think like the previous thing that people saw was BoJack. So before that was the first time I was like, oh, a lot of people are watching this, and now with Hot Wheels, I'm like, oh my god, like a ton of humans are now seeing, like this is like a lot of people watching, which is kind of exciting. Even though, like, I would have loved it when I was a kid. It's exciting to make something that I would have watched when I was like 5,
And it's, as usual, as you see with Final Space in particular, like very cinematic. When I feel like you're in the one of the driver's seats, I don't know how many drivers there are, but when you're in one of the driver's seats on a show, there's just an approach to action in particular that is just so great. Like your camera work, even though it's animated, is so great. And as you mentioned on your Instagram, you always do awesome stuff with cars.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's basically like I didn't have any like experience in preschool or kids shows, and I know that I got the job because Rob David and Melanie Shannon, the EPs, were basically someone's got to come in and make sure that the car action's awesome because we're all love cartoons, but like they were like, we need a big car nerd who bores people at parties with car information. So like my job was to point to references from movies and stuff, so that was for 4-year-olds, but it didn't feel like it would annoy the parents,
Okay, wait. So before we get into so we're going to talk about blockbusters in general because Mike is so great at analyzing those. But do you have like major car chase inspirations? Like I just watched Beverly Hills Cop, the first Beverly Hills Cop with my kids.
It's got great car stuff.
Great 80s, straddling even a little bit of the 70s, but really great 80s car chase that opens the movie where they're just driving.
He's like hanging on the door
through cars and smashing things, and he's hanging on the door, and all the cars are spinning and all that. Do you have favorite car chase inspirations?
I mean, like I like probably the cliche stuff like Bullet and movies like that, and I end up liking I love Baby Driver for the car ballet stuff in it, but a lot of the stuff, we had a great animation studio, a Japanese animation studio called Sprite, and they did we would pointed out animes that we liked and films that we liked. We referenced Initial D and Wangan Midnight. I'm probably pronouncing them all wrong. They're like there's a lot of like really like car-based Japanese animes that treat the car like samurai swords, like
Ooh,
very
awesome,
very like intense and in all the ways that sort of martial arts animes often are, but they're about cars. So we reference a lot of those. And I was basically like I was more just like trying to talk about what makes car chases exciting. Like, and usually in kids shows, they'll shoot it down like you're looking at toys on the floor. And I was like, no, let's like get the camera like real low, be on the track, shake the camera, that kind of stuff. And in a way that won't make, because there's a lot of things you have to consider with preschool shows. Like there's a lot of what will they understand? What will they want to see? So you get in these really funny conversations about like what's a good joke, what's a bad joke for kids, but you can get around it by having the action really exciting, because I think everybody sort of speaks that language. It's like you want to be scary, kids love scary, but there's like once you get one tick past too scary, you're totally screwed,
Well,
so it's like more like that.
I know exactly
we can all attest to that. Our kids when
Vlad was directing Corey Carson, also a car-based preschool show, though very different.
Same.
his test audience was our 2 preschool age daughters, and
Right.
they'd be, he'd like show them the first pass of everything and be like, okay, well, which parts are funny, which parts do you not understand? And that was his, COVID test audience to make sure that they could follow it.
Now, just so you know, during the making of that movie, Vlad did cast our mother as a talking crane in the show. So if
So if
you
you have
need
need
her,
for a talking
if
crane,
you need
All
a
right,
talking
all right.
crane, it was also
Her,
Netflix. So
her IMDb is already set up.
yeah,
That's amazing.
If you
Yeah,
want to
that's
do
awesome.
a crossover, you can. My mom will be glad to do Candace Crane for free.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of cool car moments, I thought Roadhouse. This will be our first blockbuster. Becky and
Yeah.
I attended the premiere at South by
Oh,
Southwest.
did you?
It
Oh,
was a
and
blast.
that's awesome.
I believe
Perfect
we
movie
sat,
to see on the big screen. It was
we
so
sat
fun.
behind Post Malone.
That is true.
Oh, nice.
I'd never
Yeah.
seen Post Malone before in my life, so I didn't know who he was. But there's some great car stuff in that movie. The near misses where Jake Gyllenhaal's almost run over a couple
Is
of
that
times.
CG?
yeah.
Is that
You know,
real or CG? How did they do that?
I think it's got to be a mixture. I mean, it's like there's a
Right.
lot. That movie is like weirdly analog and CG at the same time. Like there's a lot of really stylized stuff that
Yeah.
has to be a mix. There's, like it's too violent.
Yeah.
It's funny you said there's car stuff, and I'm like, where? But
When
now I
he
remember
gets
all
he
the
gets
on the
almost
hit by
run
that
over
car.
Can
at
you
the
remind me? Because I've seen
He's
it
on the
recently,
bridge.
He's on the
and
bridge, and they're gonna run him over and pretend it's like a drunk driving.
Oh, we
accident and kill him.
He gets knocked in the water.
rewound and paused and rewound and paused like several times on that scene because
That has to be CG.
we were like,
Yeah.
how did they do that? It looks really real.
I think they're
Looks
just getting
really
really good
well.
at mixing the two. And it's like anything, right? Like if you have the right CG people, it looks awesome. If you have the wrong
Mhm.
CG people, it's how you shoot it, it's how you light it. That's why it's great. It's good that it's at night. There's so many. That movie's like, I really love Doug Liman, like that director.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's made like so many. He's one of those directors that I feel like his movies all hit that kind of like Shane Black 80s kind of feel. But
Yeah,
they
that's a
don't
good-
always like break through because they're, it's like, well, he did hold on, I want to make sure
Edge
I
of
get it right.
Tomorrow or
Edge of
Live,
Tomorrow
Die,
is-
Repeat.
So Edge of Tomorrow
good.
is like the best movie ever made until it has a real clunky piece right near the end. Like he loses his powers and the movie's like runs out of gas for a minute. So I think like those kinds of moments like make it so that movies become like non-essential to the audience. Like if you can keep that momentum up right through to the end, all of a sudden it's like a blockbuster, like Fury Road compared to Furiosa. I say like that's why one is stronger than the others, the momentum of it. But I'm only saying that because like I loved what's the other one he did? Made in America, is it Made in America with Tom Cruise as the pilot? Shuttling coke for he like starts out as,
American
like,
Made?
American Made. That movie's
Made.
amazing. I'm a big like Doug Liman.
I gotta go
it's
back
just
and
because
see that
Tom
movie.
Cruise in that. We know why you like.
Well, of course, yeah. Mission Impossible.
No, I know. I don't think I ever
Anything
saw
he does.
American Made.
It's
it's
a
great.
cool movie. It's a fun
He
movie.
did Jumper, which I think is like also kind of incomplete, but an awesome movie. Hayden Christensen and Rachel Bilson.
He's willing to make like cheese. So few directors are like. I actually got excited about the new Bad Boys movie because it's like I felt like I didn't see it yet. I'm gonna go see it, but I felt like I quit. Like it's like, okay, I'm not gonna hate it. Like I was like, it's like I got too tired of rejecting the cheese of it, and now I'm like, you know what? I need to see this fourth one. It's like what happened with Fast and the Furious at about like number 4 or 5. You're like, fine, I'll go see your stupid movie, and then like it's exciting,
That's similar. I now go see all the Fast movies in the theater. I don't even know what happened. Like Fast 9, they go to space.
They're
Fast
falling
10,
off again, unfortunately. But I was
Fast 10,
in for
there's
a minute.
giant ball chasing them for a good part of the movie. But in Fast 10, I do think Jason Momoa did a great job playing the Joker.
It felt like everyone in the Fast 10 movie got like tired. Like they were like, and then Jason Momoa showed up to the party when it was like winding down, like he was trying really hard and everyone else is like, Jason, man, it's fine. We don't even really try anymore. He's like, no, let's party.
All right. So Roadhouse. Were you raised on the original? We were not. It was not what we watched a lot of movies over and over and over again, but Roadhouse didn't make it into the rotation when we were kids.
I've seen it a ton of times, but like it was one of those movies that I thought was bad and then it is, but for good reason. It's I didn't know. I needed to know what bad good was to get into it. So as a kid, I thought it was like a little too violent, a little too like sexy. It
There
wasn't
is
a lot
like
of
weird
unnecessary
amount of
boobs
There's
in that
stripping.
so
movie.
many boobs in that. It is like an
Yeah.
80s amount of boobs.
yeah, and like
Just
my
like you could just imagine them on set being like, more boobs.
More boobs.
Put some
oh, it's
boobies
such
in the
a
front.
coked out '80s producers,
Yeah.
like doing all the
Totally.
casting. So yeah, I wouldn't say I think I became a fan. Frankly, like I think I remember them making jokes about it on Family Guy in like the early 2000s and being like, yeah, it is. Like that's kind of the meta analysis is why I like that original. I don't think it's a very good movie. Like let's be honest, I think it's fun and weird and cheesy, but I don't think
The original or the new
the
one?
original. No, the original. The new one, by the way,
Yeah.
I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's like
The new
I
one.
love the
Piece of
new one.
cheese.
I think the new
Yeah.
I
one's
love
a
the new
better
one.
movie.
No, I
wasn't.
saw
Mhm.
the
And the-
original really for the first time right before South by, so I could, have context for the new one, and I loved it. I was like,
original?
the original. Like, I think like as far as like a good bad movie, it really holds up. I found it to be, with the exception of like the parts of the story that truly just eventually make no sense.
Yeah,
Where, like
yeah.
the whole ending is just nonsense. So he's like,
Becomes like Fight Club or
right,
like
he's so
Mortal Kombat.
traumatized from having one time committed an actual violent act. It's like completely traumatized him, and then he's like, and now I'm gonna murder like 8 people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
like it just like the story for the character doesn't track, but the movie itself was very fun.
You know
I
who
think you
does
put it.
track? Patrick Swayze.
He's
That's
amazing.
who tracks.
Yeah, that's
He's the
that's what
best.
tracks.
Like,
You know
that's
what? You're
the
right.
best.
Because in the opening where he's
The best
explaining
part.
like, you're the bouncers, I'm the cooler. Like he has this whole speech
Oh my
and about
God,
like
he's
being nice
just,
and the way
like,
he
it's the
dresses with his
best.
billowy shirts and his
That's-
billowy
Yeah,
pants.
actually-
Like it's just Swayze.
The
That's
only
what's
thing
great.
that is really demystifying, though, for me is when I realized that Lily's husband's entire motto, life, entrepreneurial approach is entirely based on Dalton from that movie. And when I asked Lily, because I was like, Lily, please ask your husband. And what did he say? He said, claro.
Well, it wasn't one of his yes, of course he watched it as a kid and he loved it as a kid, but that other one with Stallone is the one that really influenced him, Shai, the
Which
arm
one,
wrestling
Cobra?
movie.
Oh
No.
my God, over the top.
Over the top.
Which in
There's
Spanish
a different
is called
name in
El Halcón.
it's called Joe the
Joe
Hawk.
the Hawk.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
Spanish.
yeah.
And that is the movie that like formed him as a human being, he says.
I think, Becky, you're exactly right that it's terrible as a movie, but amazing as cheese. So it's like a 10 out of 10 if you watch it. Like, have we talked about vibe movies before?
Watch it for what it is,
Yeah,
like
totally
enjoy
agree.
it for the magic that it brings and the Swayze that it brings.
Absolutely.
Now, I will say my favorite part of the movie
Mhm.
is Sam Elliott. Like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was
young
like,
Sam
sneak
Elliott
attack,
was like a lot.
sneak
Yeah.
It becomes
attack.
and it becomes like an important movie for a minute. Like it has an old like an epic Western feel when he's around. Like before it's like, okay, it's cheese, but he shows up and you're like, wait, is this a real
Kind of like
man?
Mentor
gives it some
you're like,
weight.
And
is
there's
this a
that
real
tension when
movie?
he's dancing with his girlfriend.
Yep.
And
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it gets way more complex and smart for a
Is
second.
it weird though that I think that the new one doesn't have that staying power that the original has?
We watched it 3 times.
I think you're
in my
right.
house already.
No, but like,
I've
and
watched it like
I
5
think
times.
Gyllenhaal's great. I think he's fantastic, but like, there's no mullet, there's no billowy. It's like
He
no
has great
Swayze.
shirts.
He has
great
some
shirts,
very
but it's
serious
just
Hawaiian
shirts
shirts
in that
it.
movie.
He's
Every
got great,
time I
like
go back
he's got
and watch
such
it, I'm
good
like, those are
clothing
great
though.
shirts.
He has such good clothing that I'm literally like Swayze. Of course, he's wearing that. Gyllenhaal was like, where is he buying these shirts? They're so nice. I don't know. Like, I think
He's just that one tiny roller bag, but has like
with
1,200
amazing,
great
like
shirts
gorgeous
in it.
shirts.
With no sleeves. They're all
No.
short sleeve button
Just
downs.
shorts. He was
It
ready
reminded me
packed for
about
the
how like
weather.
animators always wear Hawaiian shirts. Like there's something that happens like once you animate too many drawings, like your entire wardrobe becomes Hawaiian shirts. But I always think that they think that they're dressing like Jake Gyllenhaal in
Roadhouse. That's amazing.
Roadhouse, but they're usually dressing like Guy Fieri, you know?
So in this Roadhouse, they don't have in the new one, they don't have the Sam Elliott character, which I think
No.
was an interesting move because
I
then
think it was smart.
you're making the statement right away. We are not making this exactly the same. If anything, the way the movie ends with him moving on to the next town, like this could be like a Mad Max where,
or TV series.
yeah, where he just moves on from bar to bar, being a cooler.
Well, because that's okay. But if you think about it, when you meet Swayze in the original, this is what he does. He goes from bar to bar, getting things under control. In this
stays
Roadhouse,
until he thinks it's necessary to leave.
And in this one, this is like his first one that he gets under control, and now he's going to go start that journey.
Yeah.
Which is also, I appreciate that, like, even though he has a love interest, they don't pretend that it's some sort of like great big love affair that he needs to stay put, or it's some sort of choice. It's like they made out once, he's moving on.
Yeah. They were trauma bonding and then they moved on.
Yeah.
No, I think they made a really good choice in making, because I agree, by the way, also, Lily, that it's not of the time. It's not a cult classic. Like I'm being a bit hyperbolic about how much I like it, like I'm not.
It's great. It was super fun. I just, it's not Swayze level in terms.
But I loved that they Jake Gyllenhaal, like, because if we're talking about blockbusters, I don't know, and we're going to talk about The Fall Guy, but like I do want to talk a little bit, or not to lead it, it's not my show, but like about casting, because that movie
lead us.
Without Jake Gyllenhaal, Fall Guy without Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, they're not movies. Like they're not even they would never enter the discussion.
I mean, well, these are real movie stars, right?
So
and it's fun to see stuff with movie stars in it that has that power and that weight, and it brings a really specific charm.
Yeah. Totally.
But
like Jake Gyllenhaal, like his physically was part of the movie, like everything about it.
Okay, but truly, go back and watch any Jake Gyllenhaal movie, and your reaction is always going to be, "My God, he's so good."
Yeah, he shows
up. It doesn't matter what you watch him, and you're like, "Wow." Even if the movie wasn't great, you're always like, "He's so good."
Like everything. Him as Mysterio sold that Spider-Man movie.
Yep. I can't think of a single role I've seen him in where I'm like, oh, well, that was mediocre. He always delivers.
I went back and watched Nightcrawler after this, and I watched Zodiac.
Creepy.
And he's incredible in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's disturbing in Zodiac. Like he's not actually a dangerous guy. Well, Nightcrawler, he's supposed to be disturbing, but in Zodiac, he's like, was this guy okay? Like they did a really good job of making him like a bit twisted, like I thought
I really appreciated versatility, because I don't think I'd ever seen him play such a cool guy, and he's very
in Roadhouse.
In Roadhouse, he's so cool.
He's
Mike,
really cool.
you were talking about vibes, right? Expand on your theory of vibe movies, because I don't think you've ever talked about it on the show, but we've definitely talked about it a lot. Like,
so I
personally.
No, totally on text. I saw a YouTube video, and I got to get the name of it. Like, I maybe put in the show notes, because I'm cribbing hard from this dude. He makes these really funny YouTube essays about movies, and because so I'm gonna try and tell as quickly as possible. I saw Tenet on streaming and went, this movie sucks. Christopher Nolan has lost his mind. This is like we're not even trying anymore. Like,
I remember you saying this, and then you watched it again and disappointed me, because then you loved it.
So then I think I watched it again and was like, oh, you know what? There's some cool stuff in here. And then it came out on IMAX, and I went and saw it at the Chinese theater.
So to be clear, you were like, I don't like this movie. I'm going to watch it 2 more times.
I admire that.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, so we went, and I took my son.
Like, I won't let you break up with me. This movie?
No, that's what it was. I was like, because you know what it was? It was like, with Christopher Nolan, it has to be me. You know that feeling? It's like,
there's something wrong with me. There's something I don't understand.
Yeah. I get that.
I saw it and by the way, I was like, this doesn't make sense. It can't work. It's dumb. I hate it. And then I saw it that third time at the Chinese theater and went, holy fuck, it's perfect. And then so this online essay around the same time was talking about vibe movies, and essentially a vibe. He's like, the reason that it's funny because David Sachs from Final Space told me the story about a friend of his who said you watch movies for 3 reasons: character, plot, or being in the world, right? Yeah. And the third one is the one I think that most of the movies, like Lily, you're talking about, like that feeling of being there, that's the key to things becoming timeless. Star Wars, even Roadhouse, like
right.
whatever. It's like being there. So I'm going the long way around to saying this vibe movie concept that I saw on this YouTube essay is so important. That's why James Bond movies work. The fuck's the plot of a James Bond?
So is it by a guy named
No, you can
Patrick
swear.
H. Willems? Is it Patrick H. Willems? Tenet, a celebration of vibes movies? Or
That one.
is it that one? Okay.
It has to be that one. Is he like, he looks kind of like Stephen Merchant, like in Professor X mixed together? Can you see him there?
Well, they just have a picture of Robert Pattinson on this thing.
It's got to be that. A celebration
okay.
of vibe movies. It'd be weird if like another guy went that.
And made, well, no, there's
That's
another
specific.
one that says vibes are better than plot, but this guy doesn't look like Stephen Merchant.
No, it's like he makes like very entertaining like written essays. They're really really good. Like
And then
high
I think,
production values.
and then there's some movies where I think nail all three.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like, and you knock it out of the park. And,
I think Tenet is one of those. Like Tenet's a little less on character, but
right.
but like ones that nail it all three are Mission Impossible movies to me, or like a good James Bond movie, because a bad James Bond movie usually has the vibe but nothing else. Like I'm like a big believer in Quantum of Solace. That one gets like,
oh, that's among the worst movies I've ever seen. Let alone,
I watch it again. I mean it.
Okay.
Like you have to do the Tenet routine, because like I think Spectre and another No Time to Die are like not good. Like
how many did
really
he
not
make?
good.
I've seen all the Daniel Craig ones, but I have yet to see a James Bond movie I'm interested in seeing twice, if I'm honest. It is not
Even like
my
Casino
world.
Royale.
Oh,
Casino Royale, I
loves
could
Casino
maybe
Royale.
watch again
I've seen
one
that many
day.
times.
But like,
That was the
it's
first
just
one, right?
not
Was that the first
my
one?
vibe.
Yeah, his Casino. Well, that's the thing. It has to be your vibe for sure. Because by the
I'll
way,
tell you
like
what,
the other one just got
if
depressing.
they
They got
cast
really
Aaron Taylor
depressing.
Johnson as the new Bond, I will be very into those
I think that
movies.
if they cast
I
him
will
as the
watch-
new
I will watch
Bond,
those
I
many
think we have an
times.
opportunity to kind of reinvigorate the vibe, because I feel like the Daniel Craig vibe got really depressing.
super depressing,
Right.
super
It
dark.
And, like,
started off
It
cute,
started off
and then
fun
it's-
and playful, and then it got really serious.
I think
And
that's what it was.
I'm
It was
not
just-
interested in going to see one of those movies to be serious. Like, I want to have fun.
I've been
Our
reading
vibes
and
did not jive.
I've been reading the like memoirs of his name's, I think it's Duko Popov. I don't want to get his name wrong, but it's like the guy that they say like lived like James Bond during the World War II, and that's like Ian Fleming knew him, and it was like probably who he based a lot of the James Bond stuff on. And I want them to make like Dr. No or From Russia with Love, but like set it in like the early 60s and just kind of start, do something. They'll never do it, but like some like, to your point, like start the vibe over, like figure something else
I think
out.
they need to like really start the vibe over.
All right, so let's jump to the Fall Guy since we're doing Roadhouse. So the Fall Guy I thought was so much fun. Had such a good time.
That's
Saw it with my kids.
favorite movie that I've seen this year.
Okay.
My kids reacted really, really well. They were like, "That didn't make any sense," and we loved every minute of it.
To Mike's point, that movie's greatness hinges. I mean, I'm gonna exaggerate your point even more and say I think it hinges on Gosling and Blunt.
Although
Like,
I do
that
think the
movie
writing
is
was
as
really
great,
good.
Sure, but that movie is so watchable because he is so watchable in that role.
I couldn't
And
agree
it's
more.
like that to me, it's the perfect Ryan Gosling vehicle that's going to put me in a great mood, And I will rewatch that because I'm sure I'll have a day where I'm like, I just kind of need to be in a good mood right now.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling. So while it's a great movie, I think it's great because of him and her.
Because my counterpoint, you want to hear my like devil's advocate on that?
Yeah,
Is
sure,
like, I really, when I came out of the theater, I hated that. Like, did not like the movie. But Bree, my wife, and Mac were like,
but
hold on,
Trey.
I need to. No. We can find a middle ground because Mac and Bree were like, no, it was great. What are you talking about? And so I thought about it, and I was like, okay, every time Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt are speaking to each other, the movie's amazing, like actually amazing. Like that scene where he's getting like pummeled and she's like torturing him for the relationship against the rock and setting him on fire,
Mm-hmm.
and then playing the beats and they're talking about the characters of the story. Amazing. I was like, this every time and that split screen stuff, by the way, that had nothing to do with the rest of the movie. Like it felt like I was watching two movies, because Okay, let me set the table of why I didn't like it. So the movie had the problem that I have with a lot of these movies where they go, this is about stunt people, this is whatever. And it was a very inauthentic experience of stunt people, movie making. It did the thing. They're lighting him on fire and his hair is exposed. Like, it would have been great if he was covered in goo. Like, they didn't do any of the.
But I think that is, I think it knows that. I enjoyed it because I think it was really leaning in on how fake it is, because obviously Ryan is not there is another stunt person being Ryan's stunt person. And so I feel like it really leaned into the ridiculous.
It definitely did. And it was a choice and whatever. But see, what I was hoping, here's what I wanted. I think I had a too high of expectations. I really like the original show. And the original show is the worst for doing like 15 minutes of a fake movie and then pretending like they shot it all in real time, which is like so ridiculous. And then in this movie, he shows up and he's a stuntman and he gets hurt. And then he's hurt, and then he goes and they hire him to basically go find the guy, and immediately he's kicking the shit out of everyone in a bar. Like, there's no discovery. Like, it needed. So one of the things I think that would have made that movie so much more compelling is at the beginning, he's like, hey, my name's whatever. I'm a stuntman. I spent 3 years learning Krav Maga for this movie. I learned how to fall out of this for this movie. I broke this bone. I've had this many stitches. It needed some of that Roadhouse Hospital stuff.
Don't you think stuntman, though, is a little bit of like a shortcut term for an audience that's not an expert on it? You hear stuntman and you're like, oh, it's like the way they use spy on the TV show Chuck. It's like short for super.
Totally. But usually when they do that, they do a little dance of what this person's abilities are. So like there's remember that sequence where he's chasing the girl in the truck and he's like,
and he's
that was
a great action sequence.
But there's no stakes in it.
Like with Stephanie Sue?
Yeah, like he's not.
The associate producer. That's.
Yeah. They just never, I don't know. They never had the moment where I was like, oh, it would have been really cool. Like, it needed a scene where he gets thrown out of a window, hits the ground and goes, this is harder without pads. Like, it doesn't have any of the, and then, my biggest problem with the movie.
I feel sorry for you. I
know. Listen, I ruined it for myself with my expectations.
Yes, I think you did. I usually over logic all movies, but this one I just went in carefree.
Okay, I'm gonna spoil it for you. Okay, yeah. Emily Blunt.
I won't let you.
She's a genius filmmaker, right? In this movie, she's a genius filmmaker.
She's proving herself.
This is her first movie.
But they keep telling you how great she is, and the movie she's making is schlock. But they have this evil producer.
It's a huge studio thing. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But they have this evil producer, and all they needed was her to go, no, I'm trying to make a real movie here. And the producer's going, no one cares about real movies, make schlock. Instead, they humiliate her by her making a bad movie. So she kind of is a bad director. Like, I felt like they wouldn't have done, if it was a guy and they did the exact same thing, you would have went, oh, he would have been a villain. Because he would have been making this piece of garbage movie that everyone it's like.
Oh, that I didn't find to be so bad.
No, I enjoyed that she wasn't so much of an artist. I enjoyed that she was like, I want to be a director. I have to do this.
It was real. It was real. It just made her.
I feel like she knew it was a piece of crap, and then she finds the love story in it, and makes it.
When he
helps her find the essence of the story.
I loved all that stuff. I loved all that stuff.
I liked.
Another great appearance by
he
Jason
did that
Momoa.
opening stunt in real life.
Yeah.
That's real, that opening stunt that he actually did.
Here's the kind of stuff that. Do you remember when he drives up to Aaron Taylor Johnson's house? But it's it's on a loading dock. Like, it's just clearly they just went to a loading dock and said this is his cool apartment. Yeah. They didn't have him knock on the door. They had him drive up to the loading dock, climb out of the roof of his truck and climb up a ladder and go in through the balcony. Yeah. He didn't knock first. So does he do that every time? Like, these are the kinds of things where in a movie you have to create a sense of foreboding. You go, knock, knock, knock.
I'm fascinated because I think part of the problem, I'll tell you this.
None of these
I think
but this is, isn't this after he finds the dead body in the bathtub?
No, this is right off the. This is right when she's like,
before he finds the dead body. Yeah. Oh, right. Well,
I think he's very cool.
I think it's interesting what Mike is pointing out, because in general, I had this whole time I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying it and this is sweet and so much fun. But there was some sort of conflict that was missing or stress points that were missing. I sort of felt like there was like, I should be experiencing more stress than I am watching this.
Yeah,
or
there was
more
no
nerves,
conflict in that movie.
and it was just like, but
Well, he might lose the girl.
I was very relaxed.
Here's the
my
problem.
favorite part,
the emotional stuff had stakes for sure. No question.
The best part of the movie, which I do kind of hope was improvised, but who knows, is a very tiny, simple part when he's arguing with the PA about meal penalties. And I thought that was the funniest part of the movie when he's like, technically, I didn't get breakfast. No, I gave you a breakfast wrap. That's breakfast. Well, no, I didn't get to go to breakfast. So that's a meal penalty. And I thought that was
and like funny. The PA's running things back and forth and like awkward pauses.
Traveling.
And
like
all that stuff was amazing.
I mean, the fact that the producer is a bad guy, not accurate, but the studio was really...
but I wish they leaned into it. Like there are bad people in movies. Like that's my problem. Like I wish she was trying to make the movie bad, trying to do this bad, first of all, you knew from the first time she showed up.
But her big scam wasn't that, is that she was like covering up a murder.
A murder, yeah.
To protect the star.
Can I say that like my it all has to do with the state of mind, because I normally would over logic like what you're doing is like, poking the holes, and it makes me not enjoy the movie. But here's the thing. The night before I saw Fall Guy, I went to see Furiosa. And I was Furiosa when I finished the movie. So then I like literally was like, I can't watch anything I need a break. The next day I was like, oh man, like what movie are we gonna watch? And then Shai had recommended The Fall Guy, and my brain like needed a vacation.
Right.
And that vacation was in Ryan Gosling's eyes. And so it was the perfect sort of like antidote to having over logicked and thought so hard about Furiosa for 24 hours. I was just like, oh, take me on a ride. I just want to go on like a movie ride and not think of anything else and just watch the jokes. I thought the jokes were really funny in the movie.
I've seen Furiosa twice.
Okay.
Mike, you're a car expert.
Yeah.
Give us your rundown of Furiosa.
I listened to your episode before I saw Furiosa, where you were all kind of poking holes in it.
First of all, that's sweet
listen.
of you. Very
sweet.
What?
To listen to the show? I love podcasts.
No, to listen before you saw the movie.
No.
You weren't worried about spoilers, or?
I don't care. I never worry about spoilers. But I was kind of like going, no, you guys are just cynical. No way, forget it.
Spoiler, it's not good.
No, well, I know. And then I went and saw it.
Shai and I really like Furiosa.
I don't like it.
So I'm right in the middle. So like I think Fury Road is like a masterpiece, like a modern masterpiece.
Agreed.
And then I think George Miller is like a modern master. So when you were all being like, I don't know about this, I was like, I kind of was going, I bet they're wrong. Like not like an ass. Yeah, they're too cynical, blah, whatever. They're like the Fall Guy. They don't know what they're talking about. No, I'm just kidding. And then I saw it and actually thought you're right on with it. I thought like there were things about it. Oh, you know what? Look, I've got a thread. I've got a thread here. Remember we were talking about casting?
Yeah.
Yes.
That movie, in my opinion, falls apart if you change one. If like I will say, like in the Star Wars prequels, if you swap C-3PO and R2-D2, you have a much better movie. Just everything else, like the ripple effects of that swap, makes everything better. The ripple effect swap from Furiosa is that casting of Mad Jeff. Like that
Jack.
Mad Jack. Like because
boyfriend?
it was the boyfriend. Because it was Mad Jeff, it's like they had to shoot around him. I guarantee they made choices in that movie.
Wait, tell me more.
Okay.
You don't think the bad casting was Chris Hemsworth?
What?
No,
I
think
he's so good.
I thought Chris Hemsworth was good.
I'm just asking.
I thought they overused it. I thought he was like white truffles. It was like,
yes. Whose movie is this?
Yeah, Jesus. Don't put that on the French fries. Like
it's like
he's
so much.
Okay. Here's what I think happened. Okay, I'm trying to explain the Mad Jeff thing because I'm like kind of obsessed with it because it's such a good example of why casting matters. He shows up, right? And then there's a big plot hole in that movie, which is why don't they care that she's a woman anymore? Well, there's many, but why don't they care that she's a woman anymore? Because you're essentially saying that it's like the most important food. I mean, it's weird to talk about just because of the subject matter of those movies. So catch a breast milk thing.
Okay.
And they're like the most important because they have to like feed their warriors, right? Like that's their sort of biggest, most healthy protein source. and then I get that she hid. I like that. That was kind of cool. And then as soon as they realized she was a woman, they never did the thing where they needed to have a moment where she drove the truck so well that Immortan Joe basically said drivers are more important than the milk makers.
Of all the plot holes I think exist in this movie, I assumed that the only reason that she's not taken as a woman is because she becomes like Jeff's ward.
Yeah, totally.
And Jeff is not allowed. Like Jeff says, I'm picking her, and Immortan Joe just has to go along with it because he is like that's like his assistant.
100%. It needed a movie. So that's why the casting bothered me, because I think in a movie where they had Tom Hardy, you know, they would have made that movie's got it's got inverted montages. They needed a montage that showed how rad she was at driving along with that dude. So you're like, holy shit. They needed a moment where someone went up to her and went, you're a woman, get to the farm or whatever. And then Immortan Joe like shot him in the head and said, no one goes near imperators or whatever they call them, you know, like
Perforators?
Well, they're
Yeah.
Praetorians in this.
Praetorians.
I guess she gets raised up to be Imperator because she's Imperator Furiosa.
Well, they needed that moment where they talked about like the class system of this society. Like no one's a better driver. Yeah. So and then they had that end war montage. I was going, okay, this movie hasn't been great, but at least we get this raid on the at the end, a big war raid. And then they told it in this like weird montage with like
I think they just used footage from the other movie.
That's what I mean.
They ran out of money.
So if they had a compelling Mad Jeff, I think they would have shot lots of stuff about them being partners and really getting into it. Like, so you have this middle of the movie where she's learning to drive, becoming amazing, protected.
Which could have been the movie. That could have been the movie, and I would have been happy to watch that.
Exactly. And the perfect example of that is, remember when they trap them at the end and they're dragging him in the circle?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
it's a very long scene.
A very long scene. And they, first of all, they set up this map on her arm. And I really, really needed a scene where she realized that she made a map to where they need to go. And then someone realized that she has a map to where she needs to go. And she goes, oh, fuck, and cuts her arm off. It needed a thematic push for her protecting her home, and her just getting it cut off. I like that she ate through it or whatever. Like, I get why they did that, but you notice they shot it.
It was kind of a nod to the first Mad Max also, right? When that hand is dragging behind the car.
Yeah, he's got to cut his arm off, his leg. But they shot that sequence on Chris Hemsworth. Like, this is not his movie. He's sitting there like eating sandwiches on the truck, and then it cuts.
Definitely his movie.
Yeah, and but I think that there's no way that they.
Do you think there's like a little bit of insecurity in that, saying like, oh, Hemsworth is such a star and he's a man and he's
she's like
we're going to give him, instead of like really making that investment in Anya Taylor-Joy
for sure,
100%,
and her.
They were like, give us more Hemsworth. For sure. Whoever paid for this movie was like, I need exponentially more Hemsworth to make sure I get my money back.
I would have rather had Chris Hemsworth play Mad Jeff. And then they would have had it where, you know, when he's getting dragged, they don't actually show him die. And I guarantee you they shot him dying. And it just didn't work. I guarantee there's shots of him like one last gasp and she sees it. You know, like that moment of, she needed that moment of going nuts. Like, this is crazy. I'm going to fucking eat my arm off. Like, they never did that. The whole movie assumes she was a badass without ever showing it.
The editing is a bit clunky because I also am convinced that there's footage of her bonding with those women.
That's
it doesn't make sense that she would go back to save them unless she had a real reason to save them. And unless she had a
Valvini.
No, there's no reason she's not going home. At the end of the movie, she's like, peace out, bitches. Yeah, there's no reason.
Okay, wait, Jeff, don't you think that Jeff? No, Jeff, don't you think that Jack, whatever now? I felt like the casting was entirely because he looked like young George Miller.
Maybe.
He has the same hair and everything. Like, I thought he looked just
Did you think he was not good for the role? It just wasn't a good part. It wasn't a good character. What's the problem?
I don't think he was a bad actor. I think, you know, like they say, like what it's like whatever Keanu Reeves had that got him through the first 10 years of his career. It's like some people are like And I mean that with like, I mean that to say he is
With love,
he is a
with
movie star
absolute love.
of the
Yes.
highest caliber. But there's a
Absolutely.
thing that happens when you're a Tom Hardy, you're a Chris Hemsworth to a certain extent, where you have so much charisma that you get away with it. And he doesn't have the charisma to hitch a hook and pull you along in a movie. And that is so important for those central. That's why there's a casting Oscar. It's because those central roles
Hey,
are
we're big supporters of the casting Oscar. It's amazing.
And that's it. That's what
But
was
she
missing.
was great.
She was great. She didn't give her a lot to do.
They didn't give her. She was
about
only
25
in like
minutes.
less than half the movie. Yeah.
Did you notice they 80 yards to Charlize Theron at the end?
Yeah.
Was it 80 yard or was it just augmenting her voice?
I think it was.
It sounded a lot like
Theron.
It sounded a
I think
lot
it was
like
literally
Charlize
her.
Theron.
They made that choice as soon as she like cut her arm off. All of a sudden, the VO was Charlize Theron.
That was I thought. Well, anyways, okay. Furiosa, I think it's a mixed bag, but still very cool.
By the way,
George Miller
they're making movies like that.
George Miller has a way, especially in the action scenes, of doing things where I'm like, I never even thought that could happen.
Oh, the parasailing fucking water ski dudes, amazing.
Yeah. And the bombing knocker.
Amazing.
And then like the weird visuals, like let's have a little person die in a salad, right? Like that's just the weird twisted stuff.
I didn't know what happened to him. Did he get shot?
He got shot.
Yeah,
he got shot.
Because he didn't move fast enough to do the bombing.
I thought that was unclear.
A lot is unclear. It's shocking to me how tight Fury Road is.
So
well, this is a saga. This is a looser movie on purpose.
This is, and I think that like I miss that about like I don't need it to be perfectly explained, but there was too much that was like
I think there was too much explanation. I think like it started. You started asking about like the bigger world. The other one in the world they went. There's a bullet farm. That's where they get bullets. There's an oil farm. That's where we get gas.
You don't need all this backstory. There's a lot of backstory in this movie.
There was too much bullet farm for Lily.
Can someone explain to me? Can someone explain to me though? I haven't even seen this online. Why does he attach the spear to his nipples when he kills Immortan Joe's brother?
Bree really is uncomfortable with all the sort of.
There's a lot of nipple twirling in this movie.
Yeah, there's like a weird, but it's always kind of like an S&M.
Yeah,
right.
And I can't tell if it's S&M because like George Miller is a dark dude, or he knows that it gives it a twist. Sorry, that's a pun, but like it gives it like a weird. It gives it like a. Sometimes you do things to give it an edge, and that's a real dangerous game because then you become like an edge lord, and do shit to piss people off. But somehow Mad Max has earned.
There's so many like weird little moments like
where
that.
the people eater or the pimple eater. What's the name of that guy?
His own nipples.
But yeah, and I think some of it is just to go like this is a world in decay and nobody cares about anything, and like everyone's like sort of like a fetish monster of their own device, like I really love that. One thing I do like about Mad Max lore is when pretty much everyone has the same story as Mel Gibson from the first Mad Max movie, right?
Their whole family was murdered and they're evil.
Their whole family was murdered and they lost their shit, and then they choose what version of losing their shit it is. So like Chris Hemsworth's character could have been he wasn't, but could have been Mel Gibson from the first movie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like almost everyone could have had that same story,
right?
Which is kind of cool. It's like everyone has the same backstory to a certain extent. This is how they choose to live when there's no rules.
That's cool. You're either gonna be a nipple twister or not. Okay, let's keep going here. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I know you loved it.
I did, but did everyone else? It feels like
I loved it. I thought it was one of the better Mission Impossible movies. I think it was. I think it was one of the best ones from the. I mean, the AI thing was like a little bit weird. How they're like,
the key. They're looking for the key.
But how they're like changing what people look like in front of people live and everything. I thought, like it was.
Hey man,
it was
we're on our way. We're on our way.
It was a very MacGuffin-y.
Yeah.
Like it was literally like we have to go and get this key, right?
But I'm sad that Ferguson. I didn't need her to die. I liked her.
I have
she has to make Dune.
You don't
My
think she's
guess,
dead?
I'm putting money on her coming back in the
Her
next
coming
one.
back.
Oh, I
She's
hope so
great.
because there was a little bit that bummed me out about that where they're like, well, I guess we have a younger actor to be the lead now.
Right. It just seems like the classic thing that they always
But
do.
is
But I really
Haley
liked
Atwell's
her.
like 40?
She's young. I mean, I don't know.
I
She's
think
maybe
she's younger than Ferguson.
or at least
Yeah, but by like
relative to
5
Tom
years.
Cruise. I don't know. And the action scenes on the with what's her name from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies,
Oh yeah, yeah.
who's sort of like the heel and then turned. Yeah,
something.
Palm
She's
Clemente.
great.
Yeah, that was great. Where do you think it's going next? What's going to happen in the next movie?
It's funny because like I think one of the reasons that movie kind of like faltered with audiences is I love that Hunt for Red October opening with the submarine, but I think the movie implied that the AI was on the sub. That you remember they had
I
that
definitely
like dome?
thought that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
But
definitely
it's
thought
not.
that.
It's just the AI got into the sub and fucked everything up. And I really think
what?
that
The
movie...
AI wasn't on the sub?
No,
Well,
the AI is everywhere.
I thought it was
got
hidden in the
into-
sub.
So did I.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
yeah, it's
So
not.
confused.
No. Yeah.
No, the AI is kind of everywhere.
You know
I don't
what?
even know.
I'll
what they
rewatch it.
need.
Fine.
I don't even know what they need from the sub. Like I think it's. I'm not.
I think also the part that it was billed as a part one of a movie. I think that is you got to reserve that for very special occasions because they're retitling the second movie now, right?
I think they're kind of walking away from it. I think they're trying because the movies are lightly serialized as it is. I think they're trying to just. Yeah, they're trying to make sure you're coming for one awesome movie.
Yeah, and like they're like because when it was Dead Reckoning Part 1, but now I think it's just Dead Reckoning, and then the next one will be Alive Reckoning or something. I don't know, but maybe that's it, and maybe Rebecca Ferguson comes back to life at that point.
I think she has to. It's too good. I mean, I really liked that. Like, there's so much really good stuff about that movie. I just think, like you're saying, it was needlessly confusing in some places, and also. Yeah, it felt
the action
unimportant.
The action.
Well, what about the scene? Like, but what about his stunts? I just want to hear like a quick.
I really, you know what's funny? Here's the problem. The only problem I have with the stunts is that motorbike stunt is way cooler in the behind the scenes than it is in the actual movie. Like when I watch the behind the scenes, I'm like,
separate them. I don't even separate them. In my mind, it's the behind the scenes. I watched that behind the scenes movie that they have like on Apple
so many times.
I've watched that so many times. I've shown it to so many people.
And he's doing these stunts, right?
He's done it. He did it like 8 times.
A motorcycle off a cliff.
And
then what did he like?
Squirrel suited.
Yeah,
squirrel suiting is so dangerous. People die stuff all the time.
He does like I wonder if he said like a percentage of what he actually does because I have a feeling there's some stuff that's like in a weird way it's more dangerous to do that jump across the thing where he broke his foot than it is to jump the motorcycle.
Apparently, like in his real life, when he's making these movies, he's like not allowed to go skiing.
Yeah, well, for sure. They have
like he's not allowed to do like normal dangerous stuff because then he could really get hurt and fuck up the movie.
Yeah,
but yet he can like do a crazy stunt like this.
Was this the thing where he built a track in his house in like his backyard for like a year?
No, they built it. First, he had to do all this motocross training. I've seen the movie off by, like I know it off by heart. But how they make this stunt. He had to do all this motocross training for months and months and months and months. And then
like a tiny little ramp he's on. Like he could drive off of it.
And then they built the ramp over, and I think it was like a year he trained to jump off it.
That's wild.
I mean, it makes the movie better. Like because here's another thing. Going back to the Fall Guy, like my favorite part of the Fall Guy was the behind the scenes stuff at the end when they played. Except that like I did not like that cover song of the origin of the theme from the Fall Guy. But
I both want to go back and watch that show. I never watched that show. I honestly thought I honestly thought the Fall Guy and Jake and the Fat Men were the same show.
No, the Fall Guy's like.
And Wise Guy.
It's good,
I thought all three of those shows were the same.
What an amazing premise, though. You hire a stuntman to be like a bounty hunter. It's an amazing premise.
It's a great, it's a total kid fantasy. Like stuntman, when you're a kid, stuntman just replace stuntman with superhero, right? It's the same
absolutely.
Word. Same word.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, let's go. But yeah, I loved Dead Reckoning, and I think like I'm getting sad for the day when Tom Cruise is like, you know what? I think I'm done because they're never going to be.
He's never gonna. It'll I mean, he, as you said before, he's like daring us to watch him die on
Yeah,
screen.
snuff
First of
films.
all,
He's making snuff
second,
films.
no, but he won't. He won't. I'm sure he
I
believes.
hope not, but didn't we all feel that way about Steve Irwin, about Crocodile Hunter? We're like,
Yeah.
oh, nothing could ever happen to him.
And then a
No,
stingray.
And it
I
was such
didn't
an
walk around.
And he got
anticlimactic.
harpooned in the heart.
I didn't walk
Yeah.
around thinking about that though.
I was a
And I'm
really,
sad that he died.
I never thought he was in any real danger, to be honest. I never.
I was a really big fan. I'm
Yeah.
so sad.
Me too. Did I tell you I saw him perform live at Australia Zoo like a year before he died? Like I went to so they
Oh.
Is
you go to
Australia Zoo a separate zoo? Like, or is
it's
that
like he
a zoo
started it.
in
It's like
Australia?
his zoo. There's it's literally called Australia Zoo. He started it with his wife.
Is it in
And
LA or
it's-
in Australia?
No, it's in Australia. It's in like
Oh.
near Sydney somewhere. Like
Oh.
I was. This would have been 2006, I think, and 2005, whatever. And I went there, and they have this thing where Steve Irwin might be here today. So you go and they do like a huge thing, like an alligator show, and they pull alligators around, like the show, but like live alligators, and there's trainers. And his wife was there. And then they go, okay, let's bring out Steve Irwin. Everyone flips their shit, like, yeah, like it's tons and tons. It was really busy. And out comes a Steve Irwin mascot. Like
Oh.
Yogi Bear, like a big
my God.
styrofoam, and he's running around for like 10 minutes. He's running around. They're doing all this thing, and they go, like, something's not right here. Something's not right here. He goes,
and it was him.
Steve Irwin in the mascot suit. It was
What a good
pretty great.
turn.
So
That's a good
cool.
turn. That's great.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's speed run a couple of upcoming things here. Star Wars The Acolyte. I'm the only one who's watched it so far. Refreshingly, I skipped Ahsoka, so I haven't even watched that because I was exhausted at the end of that third season of The Mandalorian. But the Star Wars The Acolyte reminds me a little bit of the Five Deadly Venoms in that it starts with this like the old sort of like kung fu. Someone walks into the tea house, challenges someone to a duel. It's almost like a Kill Bill style fight scene with Carrie-Anne Moss, which is very cool to see her doing. It's not a super well executed, but just the idea that there's a kung fu scene in Star Wars with lightsabers, right? And then there is this mystery that they're trying to unfold of like, who is this person that's going around murdering Jedis? Why are they murdering them? And who's behind it? Now,
Right.
It may lead to very familiar territory, but this is one story where, because it takes place 100 years before I think the Phantom Menace, even like it's so long ago that unlike the later movies, which are like, we have to actively destroy the Skywalker saga, which is so obnoxious, this just can maybe lead into it, maybe not. It's a different time, and it's easier to digest the fall of the Jedi, or the Jedi being like, they're everywhere in this. And so I really dug the first couple episodes, and I'm excited to see this third one. I totally had me hooked right away.
Would it be more interesting to everyone if it wasn't in the Star Wars universe? If it was in a new universe and it was a different
because
show?
then it would just be
Why would
kind
that
of a
be interesting if it?
Because
like,
like,
it's interesting
I don't
because it's
care
the Star Wars
anymore.
But why would you care any more or less? if it
Because
was
then
a
it's something
universe?
different.
I'm more.
Oh, here's a
this
different
way,
space universe.
I'm more interested in
Yeah.
Jedis and the Force than I am like Andor, which I found mostly boring except the end. I thought was neat, and it was neat to see a part of Star Wars without the Force for a little bit. And I really enjoyed the whole like inner complexity of the Empire's Gestapo. Like that was fascinating to me. But when at a certain point, Star Wars without the Force, it's just a space movie.
Because I haven't seen. By the way, I haven't seen Acolyte, and a friend of mine works on it, so I'm glad to hear that you really
I
liked
dug it. I think it was refreshing. I felt like a breath of fresh air. I felt like I didn't have to know too much, and I watched all the animated stuff and whatever. But I'm not
Right.
sitting there thinking about how this fits into everything else. I'm just like, okay, a Jedi's dead. We're following a mystery. I'm not worried about the broader politics of Mandalore and who's going underwater.
Right. Well, I think to me, some of the things that have made me exhausted about Star Wars a little bit is like, if you think about Star Wars, it's about Jedi and stuff, like the original three, but it's very like mythological, like in the distance. And so there's a bit of a meet your heroes thing going on
Oh,
when we
yeah.
see like 50 lightsabers, and the prequels had that problem too. Like that's what I'm saying. I think like that's why I get tired of Star Wars, because I'm like, I don't need to see more Jedi. I was happy when there were like a couple of Jedi, because it's more interesting when it's mystical and far and unreachable.
See, I always wanted to see like Braveheart with Jedis,
Right.
like Attack of the Clones, which is not a good movie, or is like the hardest to enjoy, I think, of any of the prequels. It still has that scene where all the Jedis are like running across the battlefield at the end. Now they're fighting robots, so it's a very unintimidating villain.
No, I agree. I mean, I think you have to be careful with that stuff, with too much. It's like genie out of the bottle. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, if I want to see where is the Army of Jedi versus Army of Sith movie, like just like a straight up battlefield war with all sorts of different lightsabers and force powers and all of that. Like, that's not something we've seen because they use it so sparingly. I feel like going back further, we have the opportunity for this, maybe, because it's always like 2 Sith, a couple of assassins.
Have I, when, like I said, like the moment when Marvel movies went wrong, like you can track it. When Captain America picked up Thor's hammer,
right,
and used it casually,
yes,
it's over. That's it. You broke it. Like it's a great scene in the movie. Everybody cheered in the theater, but just
now
know
anybody
that
can
you've
pick up
destroyed the mythology of your universe. When he went like doink and moved it slightly, like that weird moment in Age of Ultron, perfect. But when it's like the Matrix is 100% A plus, A plus, A plus, A plus. He flies towards camera at the end. You broke it. Now you can't make a sequel. And they proved it because he's flying. There's nowhere to go. Like, and that is what Jedi are a little bit, when they can like push people and blah 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 blah. Like, you just have to be. I'm not saying it's bad. Maybe they figured it out in the Acolyte, but it makes it so you're like, why do they do anything? Like, do they get up to like get dinner, or do they just kind of go boop, 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 and their sandwich gets made in the corner? Like,
they show some interesting stuff. They show like
it's
a
like
Jedi
Captain,
that's in
isn't it like Captain Marvel? Like, she's so powerful, then none of the rest of the entire movies make sense.
Yes, like explain to me. Explain that.
None of that
makes sense.
She's always
so powerful, but she needs all the other ladies' help to like cross the battlefield or whatever that stupid fucking scene is.
That movie, I really
or
didn't
she's like mysteriously always not there. When they like need to save the world, she's off somewhere else.
One of the best movies in The Boys, I think it's season 2, when they send up the ladies scene, when they like redo that scene but with the characters from The Boys. Okay, what about upcoming Venom: The Last Dance, which looks like it's riffing a little bit on the Marvel King in Black series, which is one of the best things I've read in like 20 years.
I haven't read that one.
Which is essentially, you can get like an omnibus of it, or you read it online in like the Marvel app, right? Which is what I did.
Yeah.
And it's essentially the planet of the symbiotes.
Yeah.
Is controlled by one master symbiote, the King in Black, also known as Null. And he sends like the symbiotes to get on Earth, and they like apocalyptically like take over everybody on Earth except for a few people, and Venom and Spider-Man essentially have to. I mean, it gets like weird, and they kind of ruin it in the. I'm sure they'd make a better movie out of it, but like it is kind of neat. Like, they have to go inside the symbiote to fight it, and it's Spider-Man and it's Eddie Brock, and they kind of have to go to the heart of.
They team up.
Yeah. Well, they need each other to do it. It's mostly about Venom saving the day. But I don't know. I love the Tom Hardy Venom movies, and I'm very happy Sony has stuck with it, and they're giving that they're going to close this out. Well, 2 wasn't enough for me.
Wait, see, I've following the thread. Tom Hardy and Venom in the first movie was the movie.
That's
if
true.
you had anyone else, there's no movie. Like, it would have tanked. But Tom Hardy was so compelling. And then you see the second one, and they tried to make it like Woody Harrelson's movie a little bit. Like, Tom Hardy became almost like a secondary character. And the second one is, and I love Woody Harrelson, but the second movie's not good, in my opinion.
The second movie, Woody Harrelson in The Age of Natural Born Killers, is
would have
Cletus
would have
Cassidy.
yeah.
They needed a guy
but they
like
made him
Barry
he had like the
Kehoe.
co-pilot thing, like he had his friend.
Oh
It
yeah,
just-
yeah, no.
It
They
really lost the plot.
They needed to bring him in as the serial killer, Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah.
Did this
with
movie
Barry-
actually come out and you guys saw it?
the
Yeah.
second one?
I saw it on the plane. It's a plane movie.
I thought
I
it was like one of
enjoyed it,
those joke
but it, like,
trailers
but-
that like people make like fake trailers of like sequels that you wish would come
Oh,
out. I did
no,
not
I'm
realize this
such
was
a
real.
target for those.
Me too.
Mom
I'm
is-
like,
At me,
Mom
and I'm
all the
watching this, and I
time.
was like, "This."
Oh.
really
Mom says to
weird.
me,
I
Mom
know
says to
Moana
me,
2's been coming out, but I've thought Moana 2's coming out for like 10 years.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah.
That fake trailer I see all the time.
I just got a fake trailer for the new season of Wednesday, and I was like, "It's so weird that they went with CG for part of this." Just not.
So that's what I
somebody,
thought the
data
Venom
traffic on their
2
computer.
Mom
I thought
says
the
to
Venom
me,
2 trailer was. I did not think that that was a real movie.
Mom says to me, I can't wait to see the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child movie. And I'm like, Mom, it doesn't exist.
They make
It's
a
like,
trailer.
no, and they're
I've
bringing all
gotten
the
that one.
actors back.
I've
I'm
gotten
like,
that one.
no, they're not.
There's fake trailers for everything. For everything.
Oh, like just people making them online.
Just
Yeah,
people
just
making them
fans.
online, putting them on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Uh,
Yeah, that's what I definitely thought the Venom.
that's your
one
target.
was.
Okay. All right. Mike,
Yeah.
what have you been watching? What should people be watching?
I've been bad with what I watched. I haven't been watching that much stuff. Like I watched I saw you guys had Hacks on your list. Like I watched
Yeah.
that. I thought it was pretty good. I've been watching you know what I watched the other day was The Long Riders. It's like this weird movie. It's like a Western. Okay, so one of my favorite. I really love Andrew Dominic. He's like no, his movies never catch on. He did Killing Them Softly with Brad Pitt, which is
Oh.
an amazing movie.
That's a great
and he
movie.
did. Why are you laughing, Beck?
It's such a great way of describing someone's filmmaking. His movies never caught on.
They don't. I don't know what to say. He keeps making it like he did the assassination of
Jesse
James by the Cow Robber.
And
that's a
Amazing
great movie.
But
That's
also
a great movie. I remember
Blonde
seeing that.
Blonde
Yeah.
got like big stuff at Cannes, and wasn't Blonde? Fuck, didn't he make
Blonde?
that with about Marilyn Monroe?
Oh, is that Andrew Dominic? Yeah, he did. You're right. I haven't actually seen that one. But the reason I brought it up is I watched The
With
Long
Anna de
Riders, which
Armas?
is like that story from the assassination of Jesse James by the
Oh,
Cow Robber
cool.
Ford, but from like 1980, and it stars like everyone in the movie are brothers, but they're actual brothers in real life. So it's like David Carradine and James Carradine. It's like Stacy Keach and his brother. So like all the brothers are real brothers, and it's not a great movie. Like it's a little bit of a snoozer, but I thought it was really interesting to
That's
see like
so cool.
they cast a movie with siblings.
Oh,
like
Randy
siblings
Quaid
played
and Dennis
Bradley
Quaid?
Quaid, Dennis Quaid. Yeah,
Cool.
Oh, this is like that's right up our alley.
And that
But
that's
you're
and then
right.
it,
Not very
what
famous
else-
movies.
Wow, there's
No,
some great actors in this though.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like a weird one that I feel like I didn't love it, but I thought it was like interesting.
Directed by
That's the
Walter
last movie I
Hill.
watched.
Walter Hill has
Yeah,
some
Walter Hill.
great action. Yeah, 48 hours. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Did
absolutely.
he direct 48 hours or just write it? Let me see. But yeah, Walter Hill's got some credentials, especially from that era.
Yeah, for sure. No, he's amazing. It's like his movies are important of that era for sure. That's what because I was laughing. You said recommend some 70s and 80s movies, and then Bree and I watched Point Break last night.
Oh, the original, the good one.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
only the original.
The original. Again.
It's just funny
Swayze.
talking about Patrick Swayze because he is like
Swayze.
he defines.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing in that role.
But
And Keanu.
Point
Or
Break is a
Keanu.
significantly better movie, like construction wise, story wise, than
oh, it's a
Roadhouse.
masterpiece. It's like a
The-
perfect
the-
action
Oh,
movie.
good.
Oh yeah, there's like an
Then
actual
Roadhouse.
plot.
I mean,
Roadhouse does not have a plot,
it's-
really.
No,
Point Break's also
No.
started by Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow. Yeah, she's
She's-
like unsung hero. I don't
She's
know
like
why
a
she's not
meaty
mentioned.
director. She does some.
I see we haven't gotten into Dune 2, and I don't think we have time to even touch that.
Oh yeah,
We
Oh my
we all
God.
agree it's a masterpiece,
I
correct?
love Dune 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dune 2 is
Okay,
very cool.
masterpiece.
Dune
Just
1
have to
had
make sure
the
we-
dead reckoning problem. Like I was watching it the whole time going, I'm going to be annoyed when this ends. I'm going to be annoyed when this ends. Like it was like a constant buzz of going to be annoyed when this ends.
See,
I know
because I
there's a
knew
second one.
because going into Dune 2, did I know there were no someone told me there was going to be another movie. I didn't
So
realize.
going
it.
into Dune 1, you knew there was.
Oh
gonna-
yeah. Whatever
knew
it was, I was more prepared and I was more prepared in Dune 2. I liked the twists and where it went and
Yeah.
him becoming a dictator. That was interesting.
I just a quick note on it. The first one is so compelling to me because of the way in which it's building the world. And I think it's so
Sure.
special and beautiful. And then the second one, it's his character and watching that transformation.
Yeah.
And each of those are done so well. So it's like, it's not like I actually can't say that I categorically love the second one more than the first, because the way in which the world is created in the first and the entry into that is just, I will always find that compelling.
But
I
the
will always want to
second
go
one
back and
has
rewatch
worm
that.
urine drinking.
It's not like urine, it's like juice. Like
It's
goo.
like goo.
I just had a better time watching the second one. Like I loved
Yeah,
the
it was
first
more
one. I just
fun.
had like a
Yeah,
a
agreed.
anxiety or
That
something. and the
sword
first
fight
one.
at the end.
It was
Yeah.
very cool. All right, Lily, what are you watching?
Dark Matter. I'm enjoying it.
I'm
good.
watching it with my
Egerton.
wife, who last night just ghosted on me and went to sleep. I was like waiting for her to watch it, and then I'm like sitting
Like,
watching.
don't try to like wrap your head around superposition or try to figure out the plot holes. Like, it's like obviously it's
Yeah, no, there's some dimension switching going on. I get it.
Is
Yeah,
it Apple
like-
TV? It's Apple TV,
yeah,
right?
it's Apple TV.
Do they like who over there only like sci-fi? Like it's
I-
crazy.
And
I
it's high end. Like these
It's
are
like
yeah,
very high end.
expensive.
Yeah.
They're expensive
Production-
sci-fi shows.
This is there's 9 episodes. This is 9 movies.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are 9
See,
very expensive movies because it's
But it's the
Jennifer
same thing.
friggin' Connolly and well, I guess what's his name? The guy that's in it?
Edgerton.
Is it
Joel
Joel
Edgerton.
Edgerton?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was just in The Boys on the Boat. I mean, he's a
Right.
movie
Mom
star.
loves that movie.
He's not necessarily
good.
like, but
But Jimmy Simpson's in it, who I love.
love Jimmy Simpson.
Jimmy Simpson's awesome, and you've got Connolly, and because like it's not a spoiler, it's literally what it's about. There's obviously different like multiverses or whatever. It's not like one Jennifer Connelly. There's many, or like there's a lot of screen time for Jennifer Connelly and Egerton and like all of these people, and so it's extremely expensive, and I'm enjoying it. The acting is excellent.
The other one I'm
acting
watching
is really good.
on Apple TV Plus is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
Oh, please, I stopped listening. I
Which-
watched one episode for you.
In the MonsterVerse, I'll just say this:
Oof.
in the
Becky, you're
MonsterVerse,
welcome.
I'm on the 10th episode now.
Oh, God. Oh
And
my
aside from
gosh,
that, I
can't
don't
be
fully
watching 10 hours
understand
of that.
why they haven't connected it, like what's going on in the show, to the rest of the whole Hollow Earth theory that takes place in the Godzilla versus
Can I
Kong movie.
go?
Yeah,
Well, hold
you
on a
go.
second.
Bye. Love you.
They seem to have emphasized the acting and the characters because the monsters don't appear much on a television show. They show up once in a while. It's really good, but really expensive.
In that
So my
first
theory,
episode, they used a lot of footage from the movie they made about this.
but
Wait,
my,
did you guys like Godzilla -1?
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm sorry,
A video
it's
game?
called
Is
that?
that a
It's called
video game?
Godzilla
Okay.
-1. That's
Okay.
the
Yeah, that's
title.
that. It won
Okay.
an Oscar.
I have
what?
to say,
Title?
Special
I have to
effects?
say, I got real sort of I'm kind of with Becky and Lily on this one. Like I thought Monarch was like not for me a little bit, and then the Godzilla versus King Kong, like I got it, but I felt like I was being tricked. Like I kind of was like, we can't be mad about the AI. I can't be mad about ChatGPT if this is the kind of movie we're gonna make. And then, but then, Godzilla -1. Look, I watched the trailer for that with that same thing. I was waiting for the actors from the movie to interrupt the trailer for Godzilla versus King Kong. Go, just kidding. Have fun watching the Fall Guy. Like that's what I thought was gonna happen. But
I thought it was
Godzilla
a fake
-1.
trailer.
Yeah, I thought it was a fake trailer. I'm not joking. Like I genuinely was like, okay, what's this actually for? And then, but
Well, it is
Godzilla
a real
-1 is a
thing.
Japanese remake of the original Godzilla,
Yeah.
and it's fucking rad. I love the way it's shot. I love the way it's paced.
Yeah.
It looks like
Okay.
10 times better than any of the other movies. It's like, it's kind of to me going, okay, this is why people like Godzilla, this. And then everything else is, you know, with Star Wars, you watch like Empire Strikes Back and you go, okay, this is a real movie. And then you realize why there's an orbit. That's what Godzilla -1 feels like.
Because it goes back to the original one. I hear it's amazing.
Goes back
And it
to-
did one. It won an
feels-
Oscar for best visual effects, which is
It's super
seemingly pretty
understated.
hard to do for a Godzilla movie, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. And it looks amazing. Like it looks like it's shot in like 35 millimeter. I don't know. It's just a beautiful movie. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
no, that's good. I'm glad we got it in there.
Redeemed it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, have you guys seen Hitman? By the way,
Yes,
Oh, they did.
I
They
loved
saw it.
Hitman.
I've seen it 1.5 times.
I loved
haven't
it.
seen it.
I'm gonna watch it 400 times this summer.
It
I'm
just
just
popped.
gonna have it on
The
repeat.
phone is listening. It
I
just popped up on my phone.
I liked it. My wife, it's like her new favorite movie. She's
Yeah,
watched it.
Allie
twice
and I
already.
are all in on Hitman. Give me
So
all
fun.
the Glenn Powells.
Oh, okay.
Linklater,
I love
Linklater makes
Linklater.
Linklater makes it cool. I get lost kind of in the middle, but it does have this 90s dark humor to it that I really like.
But it's again a movie that if you cast it differently, it's a Hallmark movie only.
Yeah,
No, I
It's a
know.
Lifetime.
Give me all the Glenn Powells.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what
it's
I'm
true.
here
I mean,
for. That's what I am
it's-
turning up to the theater for.
Yeah. No, I just thought I wanted to hear what you guys thought. I thought it was funny because I just watched it the other day.
And you
Yeah,
were
we
like,
watched it
eh.
we went to the theater and then we watched it again on Netflix.
Oh, sweet.
All right, Mike, your show out now is Hot Wheels. Everybody with
Yeah.
parents should be watching that with their kids. It's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully my dream is that the parents then don't hate their lives while they're watching it with their 4-year-olds.
That's
I've
accurate,
seen
though.
many
That's
hours
accurate.
of this show, and
That's
I'm
accurate.
always delighted when they start racing. They're going around the loop-de-loops. I'm always like, oh, so
Thank
fun.
you so
I
much
love
for
it.
being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And for breaking down the blockbusters with us.
Thank
And
you,
hopefully
really.
it
It's
won't
the
be
best.
this long before we
I love your hot takes.
before we see you
It's
again.
the best.
Yeah, we'll wait until another movie comes out that I hate and you guys love, and then we'll do another one.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, I really want to. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
you'll talk about the Acolyte since your friend worked on it, but I really would love if you eventually get to see it to break it.
Yeah, if I get through it, not if I get through it, but like if I sit down, I'm so bad with that kind of stuff. I never finish anything, but I'll watch that one because I want to get through it.
All right. Take care. Bye
All
bye.
right. Thanks, Mike.
See everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Friday Night Movie, the sibling rivalry and pop culture podcast. Join the Friday Night Movie family by following @Fry Night Movie on all of the socials and visiting our website, frynightmovie.com. Our theme song is by What Does It Eat? And make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.